so much space. When you out there without care, I was out of tone. But it wasn't because I didn't know, no. I just know too much. Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Possibly. I hope that you're having the time of your life. Think twice. That's my only advice. Oh, who do you think you are? Oh, bless your soul.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. A beautiful Wednesday morning. Guys, let's talk about it. Before I do, a few shout outs to you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to spend a few moments here with me on SML TV. Guys, one of the most difficult things when you do one of these live streams, they always tell you try to maintain contact with the camera. Because I've got this really annoying habit where my eyes dart all over the place. And the conventional wisdom tells you that when you're doing a live stream, always maintain eye contact with the camera. And I'm trying to do that as best as I can. Thank you for being with me a few minutes. I won't be long, 10 minutes max, maybe 15. We'll see how it goes. Let's ask this all-encompassing, this all-elusive, very controversial question. Is it permissible? Here, we're going to throw it up here so that we know exactly where we're going. Is it permissible for a man, a married woman, to be friends with another man? Now, you have to apply wisdom to this question. I know the knee-jerk reaction from most of you is it's fine, it's okay. And when you say that, that is youth speaking. Youth, Y-O-U-T-H. That's youth speaking. With the benefit of maturity, longevity, and hindsight, you will realize very quickly as you get older that the answer to this question is not always an immediate yes. There are lots of gray areas, but conventional wisdom, the direct short answer to this question, is it permissible for a married woman to have another man as her friend? The short answer is no. And let me explain. And before I do that, let me give you a story. A few years ago, I was standing on the corner outside here, and this was during the PF days. We used to have a PF commander here named Muke. Some of you remember my posts about him. Him and I were constantly at loggerheads. We would always disagree about stuff. We were constantly arguing, constantly in conflict. If it wasn't one thing, it was another. Sometimes he would park his car right in the middle of the road and not pay attention to the traffic, and I'd always complain about things like, well, one day we were standing outside and this young woman approaches us, very pretty lady, and approaches him and starts talking to him, and I could see that there was some type of relationship here. I wasn't sure what it was though, because it was a very brief encounter. She spoke, said something, he said something to her, and then she walked off. So I asked him, I said, okay, who's that? He said, oh, that's my wife. I said, really? He said, yeah. I said, I didn't know you were married. He said, yeah, I am. I said, well, how come you've never brought her around? He said, are you kidding? You think I'd bring my wife and have these wolves salivating over my wife? Then he looked at me. He says, never, never, ever bring your wife and introduce your wife to a pack of wolves. That's what he said. Well, he used the word dogs, but he meant the same. Of course, I'm not saying I stood there and I absorbed that. I mean, I'm old enough to know what's right and what's wrong. I've been married 23 years. But my point in bringing that story up is that it's not always wise to have your wife be very familiar with your friends. Your wife should not have an independent relationship outside of your marriage with another man. Ooh, that's heavy. You need to let that sizzle in your spirit. You need to let that marinate in your soul. What I'm giving you are rubies and gems and precious stones. And if you are receptive enough to embrace the truth, it will serve you well. Let me say that again. Your wife should not have an independent relationship outside of her marriage, in your marriage. Why? Because it causes problems. Now, here's the thing about male female relationships. It's fine and dandy for someone to say, no, but we're just friends. We're just friends. I hear people say this. No, she's my bestie. He's my bestie. Nonsense. Because let me explain what happens. You are only friends to the extent that she allows. I want you to get this. This is precious, what I'm giving you. You are only friends with that woman to the extent that she allows. If for some reason, if for some reason she decides to make a move on you as a man, okay, now remember, I'm talking about a married woman having another man as her friend. And that friendship functions and exists outside of a marriage. That's what I'm talking about. Follow me. I have a point. I'm going somewhere with this. You are only friends to the extent to which she allows, meaning one day, and folks, we're living in the real world. Pull your head out of the clouds. We're not in utopia. Okay, let's be clear. This is not heaven. Okay, we are living in a fallen, fickle, frail state of humanity. You must understand that. Okay, the word of God says the heart of man is desperately wicked. So don't sit there with your smug, self-righteous, self-absorbed attitude. No, we're just besties. You're just jealous. We're friends. No, you're not. You're only friends to the extent that she allows, meaning one day, let's say, for instance, you're friends and you're a married woman, he's a guy, and then you call him and you're crying. Oh, I'm so sorry. How could he do that? That's terrible. Come on over. Let me give you a shoulder to cry, your shoulder to cry on. If the woman decides to make a move on you, you as a man will not be able to withstand that advance. Understand that. That is the truth. That same woman that you are calling, no, this is my friend's wife. The day she decides, Iwe, Naine, we're going toe to toe. We're going head to head. The moment she decides that, you as the man, you as the male friend, you will not be able to withstand the tsunami of sexual energy that will exist between you two. So conventional advice says, avoid it. We're not going to sit here and pretend that, no, you are the man. You can tell the girl, hey, girl, you better put your clothes back on. Girl, you can't do that. You know so and so and I are friends. You can't do you know how much this is going to upset him when he finds out that you're standing there half naked in front of me, knowing full well that I'm his friend? Girl, this ain't right. Put your clothes back on. There are more than 6.77 billion people on this planet. The number of men that will say, put your clothes back on, less than my two fingers. You know why? Because a man is designed that way. A man is designed he's a visual being. And so the advice, the conventional wisdom is avoid that. Avoid it. It's just wisdom. The word of God says a wise man sees danger and he takes refuge. Now, of course, I know that's very difficult to do, especially when you camouflage this in innocence. You're friends, you're taking, you're together, you're hanging, you're dancing together, you're playing together, it's all fine and dandy to camouflage that in friendship. But oh, honey, there comes a time, and trust me, there always comes a time. Comes a time when one of you lets your guard down and stuff begins to happen. This is why this type of betrayal is so potent. You know the word potent? Meaning it's so concentrated. It's so powerful. When you hear people say, but she was my friend. How could she do that? It's because you're living in a naive world. It's because you're walking through life like you're tiptoeing through the tulips. It's because you're walking through life holding hands, singing kumbaya, thinking that this is utopia. No, this is the real world. And if you're not careful, that very same friend that you trust, the moment your wife or your woman shows him any type of interest, he will succumb. He will cave. He will crumble underneath her, what's the word? Not deception. Seduction. There you go. That's the word. I knew it was something. Let me say that again. The moment the woman shows him any type of interest, the man will crumble underneath her shadow of seduction. That's just the way it is. When the word of God says that God created the woman, do you know why the woman is called a woman? Do you know why? It's because when Adam first saw Eve, he said, whoa, man. It's the truth. That's scripturally correct. I mean, that's biblically correct. You get the point. Be careful, guys. It's a tough world out there. Be careful.